Welcome to the Aero General Service channel. I'm your host, Corey Bartolotti, and in today's video, we have a pretty big install here for you. We're going to be catching these two gutter downspouts in the front and running those in their own separate line to a pop-up emitter on the left side of the house. And then in the backyard, we're going to be actually making some improvements to an existing system, and we're also going to be replacing the main line in that system because it was a corrugated line. It was agriculture corrugated and the pipe failed over time, and it actually was not the correct pipe even to begin with. It was muck pipe that they used. So let's go ahead and get started here. Now these two existing catch basins in the back, they do not take in any water because this main line has failed. We're going to go ahead and replace that with SDR 35 4-inch PVC pipe, and on the way out to the front, we're also going to catch the two downspouts that are on this side of the home. Corrugated muck pipe does not belong in residential drainage. It belongs in agriculture. The reason this system failed is because they used the wrong materials for residential drainage, and they dug a trench, they threw stone in the trench, and they buried it up. There was no filter fabric to separate the dirt from migrating into the stone, and in return, you allow roots to grow all throughout your system. This first gutter downspout, we're going to run around the AC unit and into the first existing catch basin. The reason we're going to do this is that catch basin is going to act as a distribution box, allowing leaves and debris to be caught in there and can be cleaned out later. The other reason we're going to do this is because we have a lot of fall going through the backyard opposed to trying to go through the entire side yard and make it out to the front. Remember to call 811 before you dig so they can mark any utilities that may be in the area. You can see how many different utilities 811 has marked here for us. We have both internet lines for the left and the right home, plus we also have the electrical main line that runs to the electric meter on the house that we are working on. Now typically those lines are buried 2 to 3 to 4 feet down depending on how old the home was, but you still need to be very careful while digging through here, so always hand dig it and go very slowly. The corrugated main line that connects these two catch basins together, we are going to flush it out thoroughly with a garden hose and make sure it still functions, and we are going to leave it in the ground. The main reason why we are doing this is to help the client out with his budget, because in order to replace this main line, there's going to be a significant amount of concrete removal and replacement here, so that is going to cost some money. So in order to help out with the budget, we're going to leave this line as long as it functions properly. These two downspouts in the front of the home, we're going to be connecting into our system using the aluminum elbows. The reason why we're going to leave those on is to be able to gain as much additional fall as possible, because halfway through this yard, it becomes very flat. So we want to work with our fall, and we want to try to get as much as we can in the beginning so that we don't end up losing too much fall towards the end of the run. When working with PVC drainage pipe, you can make your measurements, get your cuts, and dry fit all of your fittings and pipe together. Once you have everything set the way you want it, go ahead and make a couple of lines with a Sharpie. That way, when you go to solvent weld each fitting together, you know exactly where they go. As you build your system, make sure to use a small level on each fitting so that that fitting is leveled properly and the water will be traveling through that fitting in the direction that you want it to. Whenever we are using a pop-up emitter at the end of our system, we always use what we call a percolation tee with geofabric and drain rock at the bottom. The reason we do this is to allow the system to dry out completely once the rain event has ended. Any water remaining in the system will make its way down the pipe, and it will go down the percolation tee, through the drain rock, through the geotextile fabric, and into the ground. Now keep in mind, this method works with sandy soils and in areas that the water table is not very high. So keep that in mind. If you are in a clay soil, this method may not work as well. It will take longer for it to dry out because that clay has to dry out completely. We now have our back gutter downspout completely piped in. Now we always use a bell fitting to go ahead and connect our pipe into our catch basin. This makes a good snug fit when you use a 4.5-inch hole saw. We did have to remove some concrete in order to install our new main line. Now, the reason we're installing our PVC higher up on these catch basins is because we want to give these basins as much room as possible. There are a lot of oak trees around this property, and especially in the backyard. There are a lot of leaves and debris that fall. We want to minimize the chances of this debris entering our system as much as possible. Whenever connecting a lateral into your main line, always use a combination Y whenever possible. This is a Y fitting with either a 45 degree or a 22.5 degree connected onto it. This allows the water to make a smoother transition into the main line instead of slamming to a stop and having to start its flow all over again. Sometimes when installing drainage pipe and you are running it for a very far distance on a gravity-fed system, you want to embed the pipe, meaning you want to start burying it in sections and packing dirt up underneath the pipe. That way it keeps the pipe stabilized as you work and you continue to move forward. Our new main line on the right side of the home is going to be connecting into the existing corrugated line that already runs underneath the sidewalk and discharges onto the road. The reason why we are doing this, once again, is for budget purposes. This helps the client out on their budget because we do not have to go underneath the sidewalk and run that additional feet of SDR 35. Now, we went ahead and we cut the corrugated main line open at this point. We flushed it thoroughly with the garden hose to ensure that it wasn't clogged or backing up and that it flowed properly. To make our connection between our PVC SDR 35 and the corrugated, we use what is called a rubber boot or a fern coat. This is a rubber fitting with 2 hose clamps on either end. They're stainless steel, and these are excellent for making these types of connections. We also replaced the elbow and pop-up emitter at the end of this corrugated main line. We used a percolation tee with geotextile fabric, drain rock, and another rubber coupling to make the connection. Once we had our system buried up and the yard put back together, we always flush the system out with the garden hose to make sure any dirt or sediment that got into the pipes while we were putting them together is flushed out. And if you stay tuned at the end of this video, there is footage of this system working in the rain. I went back in a rainstorm for you guys so you could see this system in action. I hope you enjoyed this video and you gained some knowledge from watching it. And if you live in the Hillsborough, Pasco, or Pinellas counties of Florida and you're experiencing rainwater intrusion into your home or a wet, soggy yard, give us a call. We can come out there, assess the situation, and help design a system that fits your needs. And until next time, this is Aero General Services signing off. All right, let's get some footage in the rain for you guys. Gravity fed system, pop up, just spewing water out right now. Making its way into the gutter. And down the storm drain. Let's check the other one. I can already see it's working. Look at all this water just going across here. There is now no more flooding on the back of this porch, and that catch basin has a good swirl to it.